You're welcome inside the locker room on a Friday morning. Yes, it's a feel-good Friday morning. This is Smooth 98.1, your love music, love live station. It's 16 minutes past 8 a.m. Yours truly, Ayokunmi, Kekirekon, right here, ready to get you into the world of sporting action. You know how we do every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. That's what we do. That's what we talk about. And it's going to be another amazing time. A lot of things to actually get into, sink our teeth into, and banter to flow around. Joining me as she always does for the last time this week, one and only Tega Supreme in the building, even though virtually still in the building. Tega, good morning to you.
Good morning. Thank God it's Friday.
I hear you on that one. I hear you on that one.
We made it to the end of the week. All right. So not only did we make it to the end of the week, but we made it to the start of the F1 season. Woo! So we started in Australia for the F1 season this year, and as usual, we'll end all the way in December. But we'll talk today on the show about so far the practice sessions and Lewis Hamilton in red. Ooh, we'll touch on that. We'll also touch on what is happening in Indian Wells. My goodness. On the women's side, bloody war is about to happen in the semifinals. On the men's side, let's just watch some entertaining tennis. All right. Carlos Alcaraz is still in it, so we'll touch on all of that. And then we'll talk about UEFA. And I'm going to educate people on what gaslighting is and why gaslighting is a worst form of deception. All right. We'll touch on that. And then we'll talk about the big ones this weekend. It's Milan against Atalanta in Italy, Arsenal against Chelsea in England, um, Atletico Madrid against Barcelona. So
Heavyweight
those are, yeah,
fixtures.
yeah. So those are the fixtures that are coming up this weekend. Before we do any talking, Ayokumi, tell us, how can we be a part of the locker room this morning?
You can join us on the locker room this morning, as you always do, by sending your messages in on WhatsApp. That's one way. 0809 444 0981 is the WhatsApp number. To join us on YouTube as well for great audio visuals and, of course, all the behind the scenes stuff that we tend to get up to. YouTube is at Smooth 981 FM Lagos, Smooth 981 FM Lagos, and the studio line remains 0201 4489 981. You should have all these numbers on speed dial, ready to jump into whenever we're in the locker room. All right, as Tega said, we're going to begin in the wild, wild west of women's tennis. Indeed, we are. Where defending champion Iga Swiatek cruised past China's Zheng Qingwen in straight sets to set up an Indian Wells semi-final with Russian teenager, yes, the Mira Andreeva.
All right, so let's talk about that. Remember, Zheng Qinwen was the player that beat Iga Swiatek for the Olympic medal gold, Olympic gold medal. And Swiatek had to settle for bronze. Was it bronze or silver? Yeah, bronze. So not she. Iga Swiatek makes sure you don't beat her consistently, except your name is Yelena Kostapenko. Then you have her number on speed dial, and you can dial it every day of the week and twice on Sunday. But it was smooth sailing. So far, she hasn't dropped a set, getting all the way to the semi-finals. But now she faces a teenager in form and the next best thing in tennis. In fact, let's stop saying the next best thing in tennis because she's already here. She's already
Mm,
taking scalps. She's already winning tournaments and she's already beaten all the big names. And she's taking on Mira Andreeva. Now, if you recall, Mira Andreeva was the one that won their last meeting. So the
right.
head-to-head now between both players is 1-1. And this is another big one. Mira Andreeva has taken out Elena Rybakina, who is, Swiatek struggles against. She also took out Svitolina yesterday, and it's been smooth sailing. It's not like she's been taking them out and not necessarily breaking a sweat. So that's a tough one. Like I said, Mirajiva's mental clock comes up when she sees Sabalenka on the other side of the net. But
Mm,
apart from that, everybody else, she seems to have mastered the art of beating them. So she faces Fiontek again for the second time in a few weeks. So let's see if Tiontek learns any lessons from the last time that they played. Last time it was 3 sets. and Adriva won it. So let's see what tonight will hold for both of them. But yes, tough fixture on that end. On the other side of the draw is Sabalenka taking on Madison Keys. Remember Madison Keys? Madison Keys was the one who beat Sabalenka in the final of the Australian Open. So revenge time.
Blood in my eyes.
So I'm telling you, so all over the WTA is just revenge opportunity, or maybe another opportunity for a beatdown. Let's see what happens. So it's Sabalenka, Madison Keys on one end, and Swiatek, Mira Andreeva on the second end of the semifinals. In the men's draw, though, the play has been exciting, but the names have not been there. Yesterday was a struggle for Medvedev. He had to come through 3 sets and a third set tiebreak to be able to beat Otto Fields. The match was so intense that I have never seen Medvedev celebrate like that. After Otto Fields missed his shot, he hit the shot long to give the match to Medvedev. If you saw the way Medvedev started jumping up and down, like we just bought him a new car. So that was how tough the match was for Medvedev, but he makes it through to the semifinals. Also, Carlos Alcaraz. Carlos Alcaraz did not play his best tennis yesterday, but he still had some magical shot making yesterday, as usual. So he's also through to the semifinals. On the men's side, it's not as much a battle or a dogfight as it is in women's tennis. So let's see how it goes through for both the men and the women. The semifinals is tonight.
Things are
Well,
heating up.
on the morning if you're in America.
Well, depending on what side of the fence that you're on. All right,
Yeah.
let's leave tennis and head over to the world of Formula One, and it's all about the Australian Grand Prix. And Lewis Hamilton has been speaking, and he says he doesn't feel any pressure to prove himself as he starts his Ferrari career at the season opening Australian Grand Prix.
Yeah, so usually when these kind of things happen, everybody expects that in-house, that's with the driver on your team, you are able to defeat them. You'll be the better driver on the team. In the last few seasons at Mercedes, he struggled against George Russell. I remember George Russell was one bragging, I beat Lewis Hamilton in Senka. No, guy. He has, I keep wanting to say 8 world championships.
We know, Tega, we know.
And you have none. So now he's moved to Ferrari. The first competition people are going to check is how good is he against Charles Leclerc. So remember, he's 40 this year. So how good are you against Charles Leclerc? And so far from the practice session, I think practice session 2 was at 6:30. It finished at 7:30 a.m. this morning. I had to stay up a little bit for that. But yeah, practice session 2, he was in 5th position, 6/10 of a second behind Charles Leclerc, who finished in 1st position. So already he's fallen behind his teammates. Even in the dry runs, Charles Leclerc was ahead of him, and he was behind Charles Leclerc. But the first competition is against your teammates. How good are you? And then the next competition is on the grid. How good are you? So people are hopeful that everybody is talking about McLaren being the team to beat this year. They started off well. They look like really the team that you want, the fastest car on the grid. So everybody's talking about that. But Ferrari does have a shout in it, especially after the second practice sessions. However, the weather conditions are changing. So they are training now, but they're training in this heat. They're also saying that tomorrow's qualifying will be in the heat, but that the rain will fall on Sunday. So whatever data they are drawing from Friday to Saturday, from Thursday to Saturday, may not even count, because if they are driving in the rains on Sunday, all that data will be out of the window.
Right. I mean,
it will be a completely different race. And the question is, how well can you perform blindly? And that's what is going to happen. So they're all anticipating that it's going to be a wet Sunday. And they're not talking about a wet Sunday in the fact that it's going to rain and stop. They're saying that according to the weather forecast, it's going to rain all through Sunday. So it's not going to let up. So the question is, but they're in Australia, they live in extremes. So they will go from extreme heat on Saturday in qualifying to
So
extreme wet on
the wet and
Sunday.
cold on
So,
Sunday.
yeah, so whatever data there may not be of any consequence, but that's the weather forecast. We are not sure that that's exactly how it will pan out. So wait and see how this turns out.
Exactly. Wait and see how it actually pans out. And I'm pretty sure we'll be hoping that, I mean, as we're preparing in the heat, let there be no rain on that Sunday. It's the forecast at the end of the day. It's true.
We like rain. We like driving in the rain.
I don't like driving in the rain, Tega. Please, please. PTSD. Anyways, let's leave Formula One and head into the world of football. And it's all about what went on in the Champions League game between Real Madrid and Atletico. As Uefa says, it will discuss the rules around penalties with the game's lawmakers after Julian Alvarez's spot kick was disallowed in Atletico Madrid's Champions League exit. A talking points, major one, even till now.
Yes, so I would say this. A lot of people are saying, well, it was not only Julian Alvarez penalty that was cancelled that Llorente missed, but there's such a thing as psychological dominoes. One thing leads to the other. And I will talk about what happened. So UEFA comes out to say that Atletico Madrid had requested to see the video, and then in their report they said that there was a touch, but it was minimal, and that it happened because he slipped, which means it was unintentional. So if you read through their report, it says there was a slight touch on his standing foot, though minimal, and they are going to discuss with IFAB and FIFA to see if they can change the rules if the touch was not intentional. And I'm like, this is gaslighting. Because let me tell you what gaslighting is. Gaslighting is not denying the issue. Gaslighting is shifting the blame so that whoever brought in the accusation now starts to look petty. So if you don't they make it about your reaction as opposed to about the issues that you were discussing. So if somebody is gaslighting you, they are trying to deviate from the real issue. I have seen that thing frame by frame. I've watched it so much, frame by frame. There was this frame by frame breakdown, and I have still not seen where Julian Alvarez's right leg touches it. Now, what they want to show you as proof that his right leg touches it is a still picture where
That doesn't
the
tell the
ball is.
story.
Yes, a still picture where the ball is allegedly touching the leg. But if you've watched tennis like myself, you know all those tennis balls that actually look like they hit the line, then they zoom in, and you can see that there's a tiny sliver of space between the ball and the line. The Hawkeye technology. That's exactly what you should do to that still picture. That still picture does not, if you watch it frame by frame, you don't see it touch the right leg. You don't see any deflection in the trajectory of the ball. Then which leg does it touch? So they are still trying to tell me that the phantom touch was minimal touch. And you know that they know that they've goofed because they started bringing out this kind of statements. Because how many times do you see UEFA bring out a statement, except there's a real incident? How many times? They bring out a statement when the referee is being abused, do you understand? Or when there was a little violence in the stadium. But for them to bring out a statement about this review, you know that they are gaslighting you. So ultimately, Atletico Madrid are out, and once again, Real Madrid have found their way through. Now, Thibaut Courtois came out to say after the match that everybody should stop crying, that he hates when people are playing victim because we are now saying that the referee is at fault, that we should believe the officiating and we should stop crying, playing victim and crying. So that's what Thibaut Courtois said it. We have heard you, Thibaut Courtois. Let us not hear that Real Madrid comes out again to complain about officiating. We will play this statement that you made for you people. Because remember, they were the ones crying that they're going to leave the La Liga, that the officiating is against them. And they're the ones calling that they should bring referees from outside to come and officiate in the La Liga because they are cheating them. Now that it has favored you, you are saying people should stop playing victim. We have taken your word, we have recorded it. Internet does not forget.
Oh, it definitely
When you
doesn't
people
forget.
come out and complain about a call, we will play the tape again. That's all I can say.
All right, on that note, let's take a very quick break. When we come back in, we'll be talking about what went on in the Europa League last night. And those who are of a red persuasion from Manchester was a good evening. We'll talk about that and a whole lot more. This is The Locker Room on Smooth 98.1. Because it favored them, it was it talk anyhow. Okay, no problem.
Because he favored them, his mouth is sharp, that we should stop playing victim. I was like, from your mouth. You people that cried so that they will give you FIFA best. People would have, yes, now people would have cried about officiating till they started investigating one guy. You people, you are the one that's now saying that other people shouldn't play victim. We'll remember. We'll play this tape again.
Even Vinicius yourself, now was doing someone that didn't do anything in the game. They will not come out and say, "Oh, world best" at the end of the day. Okay.
No, don't worry now. We are here waiting for them. This thing, this way, it may not happen to Madrid in Champions League because for some reason that's their tournament. That's where their luck comes in. But we'll be waiting for them in front.
Hey, Shineke, man.
When they cry, we'll remind them.
But I'm sorry, but that whole penalty thing, it was
blasphemous. I watched it again and again. I was like, let me see if there was a slight deflection. Because if you say touch a different leg, there'll just be a slight change in the trajectory. Nothing. Frame by frame. I'm so tired of watching this thing because the more I watch it, the more upset I get. And don't get me wrong, I understand that Llorente eventually missed his penalty. But like I said, some things have psychological impact. You don't do that. And then you tell people to move on. And then they had to bring out a statement because people were complaining too much. They knew they had goofed. Have you seen statement from Uefa about review?
For them, exactly. For them to have said,
you understand?
We'll review. If they felt they were ready, they'll have said, "We'll do the law. The law is the law, and it was applied the way it's supposed to be applied." That's what they will have said. They won't have said, "Oh, we will review."
We will review.
Best don't happen, no.
Exactly. They're not saying we'll talk to IFAB. Rather. Who are you gaslighting? Me in my old age, my friend.
All right. All right, and we're back into the locker room on a Friday morning. Smooth 98.1 is the station. The locker room is what you're listening to. And my name is Ayokunmi Kekereko. And Tega Supreme, the one and only, is with me on this one, as always, breaking down the stories and sharing the banter where it needs to be shared, amongst other things. And we look forward to you also doing the same thing. So do join us on WhatsApp on 0809 444 0981. 0809 444 0981. That is the WhatsApp number. You can also join us on YouTube. A lot of behind the scenes stuff you don't want to miss. Smooth 981 FM Lagos, Smooth 981 FM Lagos. That is how you can be a part of the locker room this morning. All right, Tega, let's jump back into the world of football, and we're heading into the Europa League right now, where Manchester United skipper Bruno Fernandes scored a hat-trick to lead his side to victory against 10-man Real Sociedad at Old Trafford and book a quarter-final encounter with French club Lyon.
Yeah, very disappointing performance by Sociedad, but then again, they're usual customers to Manchester United now. Manchester United runs this thing like that. I think the red card may have increased the number of goals they conceded, but usually Manchester United finds a way to come ahead when they face Sociedad. But tough one for Sociedad, especially with the red card. They started off well. I think the referee was very penalty happy. They started off well. They got a penalty, scored it before they blinked. Manchester United also got a penalty. And then scored their own, and the game kind of went downhill from there for Sociedad. But Manchester United played the game completely. I think the Ruben Amorim and his team, some days you have to admit they master the art of playing the moments, and sometimes their big name players step up. We talk about Bruno and what he did up front, but players like Casemiro, Mazraoui, they were very instrumental yesterday. To especially Manchester United's performance. And so good result for Manchester United. They're making it through because, when you finish, when you are where they are on the Premier League table, you have to find other ways to play in Europe.
Mm,
and
definitely.
they are make and they are making sure they find other ways to play in Europe. So that was the result for Manchester United. They came through convincingly after what looked like it was going to be a tough fixture, especially after the first leg. Now, the one that had me with my heart in my mouth was the Fenerbahce Rangers one. I told you all. I said these people will not be able to turn it around, but they shocked me. They scored 2 goals and could have scored more to win the match in regulation time. Um, but Edin Dzeko was terrible with that one. I mean, defensively, helping out his team defensively, holding up the play was good. But when the ball actually fell to his feet for him to bury it, I thought he should have buried that chance. And I would have been happy to say, okay, I raised my hands. People were right. They came back. But he didn't score that. And then the penalty shootout came. And with the penalty shootout, it's really a lottery. Um, Butland was able to save 2 penalties, and Rangers went through to the next round. So tough one for Jose Mourinho. He will be very angry because he actually said his team was coming back to turn things around, and with Fred coming back from his suspension, their midfield looked a little more sturdy. Um, their shape, the shape that they took on the pitch looked a little better, and their performance was great. Unfortunately, it was just a goal shy of completing the comeback, and that's what took them to the penalty shootout where they crashed out. So it was a journey too far for Fenerbahce, but if Jose Mourinho were to take any positives from this, is that his team at least came back. Oh, and there was this penalty shout that I thought, according to the rule of law, it was a penalty because the player kicked the ball and then the defender kicked his leg. But I think what VAR concluded was that the contact was not enough to bring him down, which is not my business because the rule doesn't say the contact must be heavy. The rule says the contact must be there. So that one,
True.
there was contact. But I think VAR would have ruled that, oh, the contact was not enough, but he clearly kicked him, missed all of the ball, and it was inside the 18-yard box, but it wasn't called. So again, Jose Mourinho will have a lot to say about that. But hey, at the end of the day, they missed 2 penalties. Sorry, was it 2 years? They missed 2 penalties in the penalty shootout. So what's to say they won't have missed that penalty?
That is, I mean, that is true.
So,
Huh, interesting what's going on in the Europa League. Things are definitely heating up there. So a lot to actually look forward to. I will say a good game from United yesterday. Let's just see if the same team will come out on the weekend or whether we'll go back to default settings. Who knows?
it's
I don't
Leicester
know.
now. If you don't beat Leicester, who will you beat?
Well, Tega, at this point in time, I just take it one game at a time, regardless of who is in front. Anyways, let's keep things moving, and we're still sticking to the world of football here. And Atletico Madrid will have to pick themselves up very, very quickly, I might add, as they prepare to host Barcelona in a top of the table La Liga clash on Sunday after a heartbreaking and controversial shootout defeat to rivals Real Madrid in the Champions League on Wednesday, first versus third in La Liga.
Yes, first versus it is so tight at the top of the table. This is the one that it's like trying to pass a camel through the eye of the needle. That's how small the gap at the top of the La Liga table is, and either Atletico Madrid or Barcelona have the opportunity to get an advantage for this weekend. Because whatever gap, if it's Barcelona that wins, maybe the gap gets bigger. But if it's Atletico Madrid, the gap is still there and it can still swap as they go on. So really tough fixture this weekend. Heartbreaking loss that they would have had over the midweek with, especially losing again to their bitter rivals. Because, like I said, when it comes to the Champions League, Real Madrid know how to get ahead of every team. And if you're Atletico Madrid, you'll be pained. They've lost to Real Madrid in 2 finals. They've lost to Real
Hmm.
Madrid in semi-final. They've lost to Real Madrid in knockout stage. They've lost to Real Madrid in round of 16.
They've lost
They
six
don't have.
six shootouts to them.
Do you understand? There's no.
Ridiculous.
It's like there's no respite for them against Real Madrid. And then when you come out against that heartbreaking loss, you now come and face a team like Barcelona, who have really run riot if you look at when they've played against the head teams. But the good news about this fixture is that whilst Atletico Madrid are smarting from that loss and they can use that as a motivation, Barcelona are on a high. They're getting the results they need so far. Some of them they've had to struggle with, but they're getting the results they need so far. Against Atletico Madrid in the La Liga, Atletico Madrid can take solace in the fact that Barcelona are very vulnerable defensively.
Mm.
And they seem to be a better side defensively. It's not that the gap is much, but the gap is there. And so they would feel that if they scored a goal, they can set up a low block and protect that goal. So they have strategies against playing Barcelona that could work for them. But then again, Barcelona is in great spirits. Rafinha, people are giving him a shouting when it comes to Ballon d'Or. Lamine Yamal is creating magic on the side. Pedri is winding a symphony in the midfield. So ultimately, if all those things come together, it may be another tough day for Atletico Madrid. But because this is the La Liga and this is football, anything can happen. So fingers crossed. I would say I would not call a winner if you had to ask me directly. I will not call a winner because it depends on the team that shows up on the day.
Most
But
definitely.
on paper, you may want to give it to Barcelona on paper.
That's correct. Atletico need a break. Will they get it? We'll find out this weekend. All right, from first versus third in La Liga to first versus third in Syria, it's all about Inter and of course Atalanta slugging it out this weekend.
Yes, and this can determine who stays at the top of the table this weekend. Remember, just 1 point between Napoli and Inter, and 3 points between Inter and Atalanta. So tough one. And Inter Milan was involved this week in the Champions League. Atalanta were twiddling their thumbs at home. So so could be a different ball game for Inter Milan this weekend. What I do know that is both teams are going to go at it, especially Atalanta. They'll be like sharks smelling blood in the water. Does Inter Milan have enough in the tank to take on two big matches and come out unscathed? That will be the question that they'll be asking themselves. So tough one in the Italian Serie A, tough one in La Liga. Very easy fixtures in England. Best league indeed. Please, let's take the next story.
All right,
And
really
the next
quickly.
story takes us to England.
Yes, it does. And Chelsea, Chelsea scored a lone goal via Kiernan Dewsbury Hall as they seal their place in the Conference League quarterfinals with a forgettable second leg win over FC Copenhagen.
Yes, their performance has been questionable, but like Mariska told us, this is no PlayStation. At least we are winning. People should stop asking for too much. But this weekend, they're going to need a lot because they are coming up against their North London rivals. No, against their London rivals because they're not in North London, they're in West. They're coming up against their London rivals. And you know that fixture always just turns on his head. Now, for Arsenal, again, their shortages are what we've seen. The strikers up front, so they're not getting as many goals as they need to, especially against the top sides. Remember how they struggled against Manchester United, even though
Mm.
Manchester United are lower placed on the table. So it could be the same struggle against Chelsea this weekend. But because this is a rivalry, it's a completely different kettle of fish. Both teams going for it. Chelsea in not so great a place. Arsenal, with injuries at least, not so great a place. So let's see how both teams slug it out. Arsenal already are at this point in time, they're out of the conversation for title contender. I don't care whether they have a mathematical chance or not. Liverpool is not going to lose that many matches, especially now that they're out of the Champions League, in order for Arsenal to win. So they are really out of it. What they're trying to do is protect third place because Nottingham Forest is right on their shoulder.
Most definitely interesting games to look forward to this weekend all over Europe. All right, let's take your messages as we wrap up this morning. Larry from the abroad says there's a microchip in the ball which is part of the semi-automated offside technology. No, there isn't. In the Champions League balls for this season, Uefa have said there's none. They have 30 cameras all over the stadium that they use to do the monitoring. There's no chip in this particular ball.
I said
But
I don't know what Larry is saying.
he says the contentious issue is, was there a sporting advantage gained by the second touch? And there clearly wasn't. Harsh, but it's the rule and it needs to change. All right.
There was no touch. There was no touch is what we are saying. You are still talking about sporting advantage. There was no touch is what we are standing on.
Mohammed says, Tega, you said Fenerbahce was out of the Europa League after the first leg, but I told you that Jose would come back and beat Rangers, and they did, only for them to be rigged out by Uefa by denying clear
That means they
penalties.
didn't come back. That means they didn't come back and beat Rangers now. So I was correct, Mohammed. Give me my flowers. Give me my flowers.
This is potatoes, really, at the end of the day. Nathan Njoku says, Man United played a good game yesterday, maybe because Sir Jim Ratcliffe openly backed Ruben Amorim. Hope they bring the same energy for the rest of the season. From your mouth to God's ears, because I don't understand anymore. AY Famanuru says, Alvarez's kick was somewhat controversial, disqualification of the kick. The double touch UEFA were claiming was not clear, even with their video evidence. I strongly feel that Atletico Madrid were robbed. This is Arthur. Arthur says, I must say that I'm disappointed that Tega didn't see the second touch. However, I think that the rules should allow a retake if the touch was unintentional. Okay.
No, there's no such thing because you can't make a rule for unintentional because you can't read people's hearts. So
That
you
is
can
true.
only have to categorically say, oh, I slept. What if he acts he's sleeping? Footballers are actors these days. What if he was nervous and he acts out he's sleeping? So you can't make a rule halfway. But there was no
Exactly.
second touch. And I'm the only one that did not see it. So if you are disappointed, I don't know who appointed you in the first place.
Let me take some on YouTube. Uche Naokoye says, United made me proud with their total display. Xerxes and Garnacho have improved. Casemiro has been awesome. Our captain is on another level, and the team is more united. Let's do the same in our next game. Uche, let's have your run first before all this one, eh? El Kaderogba says, with what Chelsea played yesterday, I've already thrown in the towel. We will be thrashed effortlessly by Arsenal this weekend. We can't escape it. LK, we will still drag you. All that on his story. Delma says, let me start by saying glory, glory, Man United. All right. Padre Pio says, there's LK, throw it in the towel before the match. Wow, take heart, boss. You may be pleasantly surprised. Right. So we need to call it a morning.
We need to call it a morning. Thank you so much for streaming on YouTube and sending your messages there. Thank you for sending your messages via WhatsApp. And thank you for tuning into Smooth 98.1 FM to listen to the locker room. Please come again on Monday. And this time, call a friend and another friend and even an enemy to listen to the locker room on Monday, where hopefully your team would have played so well, there would not be fodder for banter. On that note, have a great weekend.
All right, Tega, have a great weekend and a great rest of your Friday morning. And thank you for being a part of the locker room. Keep it tuned to the Smooth Breakfast on Smooth 98.1. Great fun conversation will be coming your way at 9 o'clock on Lagos Talks and more great music in between it. Do not go anywhere.